is the current set. It is almost time for the mid set of set 8, so this tier list is a little late. Apologize for that, but please, if you want some more TFT content, don't forget like, subscribe. I already have some videos of the mid set already out from the PvE, so check those out as well. And let us get started. We're first just going to start with probably one of the better champs this set, LeBlanc. I think she is easily the best splash trait champ in this set and has been. She's very, very solid, and her damage can definitely carry a team for sure. And having, 3 different splashable traits in there has made her very viable in pretty much every single comp to this point. Aurelion Soul as well has been just a whole lot of damage. Not the most splashable for cost, but still as a for cost, definitely worth it. Obviously, all of these threats can be splashed at any time, which I've really enjoyed. I think it's pretty awesome that you can just, if you kind of need a filler but nobody will get you another trait, it's awesome to be able to toss in these threats and then be able to do very, very well. Let's see. Do Talon. Honestly, to me, Talon C tier. To me, this set has not been as good as he has in previous sets. Not really the most splashable traits either. A little bit with the Ox Force, but overall, I haven't really found him to be as viable as he usually is from previous sets. Annie, I'll give an A tier. I don't really think she's C, but for a 2-cost champ and all of the traits she has and how much she can hold the front line and tank, especially with more and more items, she's definitely worth minimum an A tier, possibly S, again just because of how many traits that she runs. But she's definitely one of the best 2-costs in the game as far as viability, how easily you can splash her in, and how well she will do for her cost. Zoe, to me, honestly, is B. Again, she's one of these champs that is higher in cost, but I haven't been able to find a way to make her feel like she can carry. And that's definitely probably more on me, but she's definitely, to me, more of a little bit of a splash and can definitely help, but especially with the Gadge teams, it's more of Annie carry while people like Zoe do backline damage. So that's just how it is for me. I haven't really found a way to do Zoe, and in this mid set she is out, so it doesn't even matter. Oh, let's see. Talia, I'm going to give A. And the biggest reason is her inconsistency. And it's like I want to put her in S sometimes, and I want to put her in B. She's much like Zyra in previous sets, where her ability, while super good, especially with the right traits, and especially even more with the right items, is so inconsistent in hitting at least more than one target. So it is hard to put her higher, but when it does hit a lot of targets with the right items and everything, it's definitely hard to put her lower than A because it can wipe a board pretty nicely, and minimum if it's not wiping, it's doing heavy damage to help wipe the board. So I think she deserves an A. Kind of hard to put her higher or lower than that, in my opinion. Yuumi, she got nerfed pretty hard. I'm going to stick her in A. I think before the nerf, definitely S. After the nerf, I think she's still very much viable and good. Um, but yeah, it's hard. It's hard. She's kind of like Talia in the sense of it's hard to put her higher or lower. More so because of the buffs and nerfs that she's received. But she deserves an A spot for sure. She's definitely worth putting items on to carry you even now. Um, but definitely worse after the nerf. Silas, honestly, I gotta put him in C2. He's good if you can find Anima Squad early and set him up with that. But as far as if you're gonna put items on him, I just wouldn't straight up. I don't think he can carry. Most of the time, most people would say one cost can't carry, and I would say overall that's true, but some one cost can definitely hold some items and be worth putting items on, and I just don't think he's one of them. Um, Again, I feel like the only reason he's even in C is because if you get him dropped with like a Gnosis or something early to start the Anima squad, which I know you need a third, which more than likely is going to be Jinx, but that's definitely what holds him. And even with Renegade, like I'm never looking for a Silas, and I never really care to have him. Jax definitely S tier. I think he is one of those champs that every single set they feel like they put him in at least in one of the two, the original set or the mid set, and he is always just cutting through people with a Rage Blade, Bloodthirster type build. It's very annoying, but he's very viable still, and can definitely carry your team, especially with like the Mecha Jax or whatever Mecha Prime thing that they have. He can definitely carry your entire team and wipe a board pretty much by himself, which is quite annoying. Zed, I'll give to A. Um, and honestly, I feel like the biggest reason I can't put him higher or lower is because of his traits. I think he's very good. I think he definitely works very well in the duelist build. The problem, honestly, is just the hacker trait. And not that it's a problem, but yeah, I feel like most people, you're either full going for like, 8 duelist or like 9 anima, something big in one category, or you're trying to find splash traits while you sit with, like 4 duelist or whatever. Um, but I did not feel like Zed was super great this set. I didn't feel like he could carry as much as he could in previous sets, and I didn't feel like because of his traits that he was always usable or able to be waited on to put some points into him. But that's just me. Still very, very good, very solid. And both traits are very viable, especially as the hacker trait using it as an assassin trait essentially. But very hit or miss in my opinion. Fiora, I'll give to B. Again, she's one of those champs that I feel like in previous sets she would smack everybody if you put the right items on her because of her abilities, but this one, not so much. She's definitely very splashable with her traits, but not as good as she was, to me, at least not in this set, but that's just how it is. Jinx, I'll give to C as well. I think if you're basically not running her in Anima Squad, then you're just not really running her at all, unless you're just splashing her with the dumb prankster trait. I think that's definitely what drops her down so much because, again, if you're not running her with Anima Squad early, then you're pretty much not running her at all. So she's definitely been hurt from that. I don't think that her ability is bad. I don't think her damage or anything is bad either. It's just definitely she's one of those people that's good, but her traits suck, in my opinion. Kale, honestly, kind of the same thing. If you're not running Duelist, then you're not really running her. No point. Um, Underground is way too inconsistent for me to ever run it, let alone have worry about using Kale in it as well. Um, that's just my opinion. Nunu, honestly, I have to give Nunu the S tier. I think because of the fact that he is moving around the board and is not always able to be targeted makes him such a high tier 5 cost because he can do such heavy damage and keep doing more and more and more as the round goes on. Um, and honestly, because of his traits, he's not able to be ran or splashed in a whole lot. And then the fact that, again, you cannot always target him as other ones um, are obviously stationary compared to him, that it makes him super viable to me. Um, Ash, honestly, I feel like Ash is C tier as well. I don't think her traits are that great. I don't think she's that great this set either. I don't really enjoy her, and if I'm ever getting rid of like a laser core unit, it's more than likely her because Sure Shot really isn't um, worth it to me as well. Ramus, I'll give to B. I think he's definitely a very easy early game splash threat champ that will do very well, but after that, you're not really running him unless you're running just a threat comp. Um, Fiddlesticks, I gotta put an S. I have enjoyed his ability very much. I think he's one of the best splash threat champs. Same with Urgot, but honestly, I feel like Urgot has to have items, so I have to put him in A. Um, and honestly, same with, I'll put Zac in S actually, just because he spawns more of himself. So that's, it's essentially just target dummies wazoo, but doing damage. So he's definitely a good splashable threat as well. But all these guys, again, splashable, can they carry some of them more than others? For sure, but, it is what it is. Alistair, I'll give Alistair an A. I think he's just a bigger, better Annie, but again, I think he's just one of those champs that, he's a 3 cost with 3 traits, so he's one of the best and easiest splashables, but him and his ability itself is um, not the greatest. We'll just leave it at that, really. Draven, S tier, I think, again, much like Jax, he's one of these champs that they throw in every single set, and he's pretty much always very overpowered, or minimum can always carry your team no matter what. Rageblade, Bloodthirster type, you'll be fine. Senna, I'll put Senna in B. I think the biggest thing, again, is just her traits. She's not so bad, but the sure shot thing is iffy, and laser core is, honestly, it's a little lackluster to me. I've always wanted it to be so much better than it is. Yasuo, I'm going to put in A, though. I think he deserves it. As far as, to me, he feels like the best laser core unit with how much damage he can do with his ability, especially with some traits, and definitely I feel like Duelist is a pretty decently splashable trait as well. Honestly, Aphelios to me has never felt as amazing as they seem to have made him in this set. Good 5 cost, sure, but not really not really a 5 cost carry how I feel. about it. Sivir, the civilian thing is cool or whatever, but honestly, she's not really gonna carry your team so much. Galio, I'll give it a little bit higher than Sivir just because civilian is always nice, sure, and you can build off that a little bit. And I think the mascot trait itself is pretty cool, especially early game, because there are so many low-cost mascots, much like Gnosis here and Malphite. I almost want to put Malphite in A because I think he's probably one of the better mascots, but overall they're all pretty similar, questionable traits, and definitely early game good, but late game not so much. Camille, I'll give to A. I think the only reason she's not an S is, again, her traits. She's very viable and splashable, kind of, but her ability and able to be sustained with her ability and being a pretty good frontline definitely pops her up into A. Um, Echo, honestly, I'll give to A solely for traits, and really that's it. I don't think he's that amazing, especially for 4 cost. I think he just has a shit ton of traits that you can splash. Belveth, I'll definitely give to A. Definitely was OP for a while there. They nerfed her, so not so great now, but still very good. Janna, honestly, I'm gonna give to B. I just don't think she's a splashable 5 cost. Not really worth it. I would rather do, like a Fiddlesticks or Urgot or somebody else that's high cost but more worth it. Leona, honestly, I'll give to B as well. I think she is one of the least consistent 5 cost with Janna as far as traits go. And because they're not threats, they're much less splashable. Vel'Koz, I'll give to A. I think it's pretty cool what he does as far as stopping the person that he's shooting at and using his ability on. I think that's a um, pretty solid ability to be able to stop that. Cho'Gath, I'll give to A as well. I think he's a pretty solid threat tank that can do pretty decent damage. But as far as carrying, I don't think either of these guys can really carry so much. Vel'Koz definitely more than Cho'Gath, but Cho'Gath is still definitely a good splashable threat for sure. Poppy, I'll give B. I think she's a decent 1 cost with good traits, but after a few stages she's fallen off, so but I still think she's worth it. Rel, kind of the same, honestly. I don't think Rel is that great this set. I think her traits carry her a little bit, but I feel like she dies a little too easily. Her ability is pretty decent, especially if you get enough people around her and targeting her, but still, as far as being able to tank for the Star Guardians, she cannot do it. She just can't. Riven, I think Riven definitely deserves an A tier. Again, I think having 3 traits for her puts her up there for sure just because of the traits, but I think she's a pretty solid champ as well. More often than not, I feel like I'm putting items on other people that are in the traits and not her, but she can definitely hold some and make it work. Vi, I'll give to B. I think she's honestly a little underrated with her ability. Somewhat splashable because she's a 3 trait 2 cost, but again, more often than not, you're putting items on other people. Misfortune, I mean, if you can get her to cast twice, you basically win. Her first cast definitely can clear a board, especially depending on how early you get her. But if you can get her to cast twice more often than not, you are going to win that fight. And if you don't, you're definitely not going to lose by a lot because she absolutely shreds with her ability. Just absolutely destroys it. Sona, I think Sona deserves an A. I think she's pretty underrated. I think the biggest reason why is because her ability changes every time she casts it. But I think she's overall pretty splashable. And I think she honestly isn't ran a whole lot, so she's pretty easy to 2-star, let alone 3. So I think she deserves the A slot. Definitely not S tier, but I really just can't put her as a mid tier champ either. Blitzcrank, I'll put in B. I think if you get the pull augment with the old Blitzcranks, I think that is huge. That's actually won me a game more recently than not. But after that, he's just much more of an early game splash, and you're going to drop him. Renekton, I'll give to A. I see so many 3-star Renekton builds with like Rageblade, Bloodthirster type. I think he's good, but if you're not running that and you can't get him 3-star, then excuse me, then he's not really worth it. But I think as a 1-cost carries, he is arguably one of the best 1-cost carries in this set. Ezreal, honestly, I gotta put Ezreal in C. I don't think that he's that great, and that's mostly due to his traits, for sure. His ability is not too bad, but his traits just kill him, honestly. Not really even very splashable either. Sorry, I need a drink. Something in my throat. Samira. Ooh. Honestly, I have to put Samira in A. Mostly because of her ability. I think her ability is pretty cool. I think she can do a whole lot of damage. While she does have 3 traits, honestly, all 3 are pretty ass to me. She's still splashable because of having 3, but that if she would have had good traits, I feel like that would have just made her so strong and probably S tier worthy. Viego, honestly, nothing bad to say about him. Very good traits, very good ability. I think he's always pretty viable. Can definitely put some items on him, but you know, not the greatest always. Syndra, kind of the same as some of these other 5 costs. Just if you're not running them, then you can't really splash her in like you can the threats. So it just kind of depends. I actually think this might be Sona. Why am I having trouble with all these S names? I don't know. But this Heart Champ definitely can carry. I feel like that might be Sona, but maybe there's fucking 2. I don't even know. But very, very good ability, very splashable traits. Definitely been a top tier unit this entire set. Lulu. Lulu I'll put in B just for the possibility of her ability hitting multiple units, but she's also got some pretty decent traits as well. Decent early game champ for sure. Why am I having trouble with her name? I don't know. Lux. This set honestly has been pretty bad to me. I think just the inconsistency again is way too high, and her being one cost, she falls off pretty well. Sejuani, thank you to myself. Always so overrated to me. I've never been able to have her carry. I think one of the previous sets I kind of did if I was running like Cavaliers, I think, but always so overrated. Her abilities, honestly, or not abilities, her traits, honestly, are, while they're good, it's just her, man. She's just overrated. Don't do it. Um, I'm pretty sure this is Gangplank. Um, Gangplank, just kind of a trait bot, early game trait bot, not really going to carry your team. Um, Same with Wukong, honestly, not super carry worthy. You're definitely just going to use him as a Mecha Prime unit, and then that be it. Lee Sin, I'll give to A, mostly because he is a pretty solid 2-cost with a lot of traits, and while I don't think he can carry, I think he definitely can make your carry, if it's a frontline unit, sustain themselves a lot longer, or at least sustain the fight for your backline to uh, survive and be destructive. Um, I actually don't remember who the hell this is while I've been playing this set. I know it's a Mecha Prime champ, but I am lost as to who that is for the moment. Kaisa. Hmm. Yeah, Kaisa I gotta put to S. I think, again, she's one of the champs that just always just shreds everybody with Duelist Rageblade type build. Nothing bad to say about her, and both of her traits are very solid for her to use as well. Vayne I'll put in B. I think she is one of the better B champs because I think she can carry at times with certain builds and traits and whatnot, but much more of, again, splashing 3-cost um, set. I'll give to B. If you're not using him as Mecha Prime, then he's just not really even worth it, honestly. Nyla, I think I can put in A. I think she is very solid. More splash trait goodness, and her ability is pretty great as well. But for some reason, I cannot remember who the hell this is. I've been playing way too much of the mid set to try to remember who the hell this mecha person is. But let me know what you guys think. Let me know where you guys would place your favorite and or least favorite champs, and hopefully you are ready for set 8.5. Please don't forget, like, subscribe for more TFT content, and we will